Hi everyone, I'm Jill and Cause, and this is how to make your own vision from the game Genshin Impact that lights up. Works for any character in the game of any element from any nation. Let's get started. There are three key parts to the vision: the elemental gem, the vision holder, and the light. So there are a few things you'll need to make your own. First, for the gem, you can buy glass gems online, but if you want to DIY or you need a specific size, you'll have to make your own. For my gems, I use a 2-part epoxy resin, which is toxic, so be sure to read and follow all safety instructions, including wearing a respirator, nitrile gloves, and safety glasses. You'll need mixing cups and sticks, a silicone mold in your desired shape, resin dye, and a light-colored vinyl or similar hard plastic. I like to make my vision holders out of EVA foam because it's lightweight, cheap, and accessible, so you'll need a reference photo of your vision, EVA foam, 2, 4, and 6mm are my choices, contact cement and E6000, which are also toxic, so again, a respirator, and your choice of foam priming and painting materials. I'm using Mod Podge because I have it on hand, as well as a variety of acrylic paints and paintbrushes. To make the vision light up, you'll need a single LED bulb, a coin battery pack, I like the ones that have the switch installed, as well as a battery, wire cutter and stripper, a soldering iron, some solder, and optionally I like to use these heat shrink tubes to keep everything tidy, and a heat gun. You'll also need an X-Acto knife, tweezers, scissors, hot glue, painter's tape, and a way to attach your vision. I like using these flat back pins or a keyring depending on the character design. Up first is the vision gem. I find it easiest to make the gem first so you know how big to make the vision holder. You'll need a silicone mold. I got my half spare at the craft store, but the Leeway visions are square and I haven't found a commercially available mold, so I had to make my own. I sculpted some clay into this rounded square shape and baked it according to the instructions on the packaging. Next, I make a mold using a 2-part silicone mold maker, which isn't toxic, but you should still read and follow the safety instructions that come with it. Since uncured resin is toxic, like seriously dangerously toxic, you're going to need to touch some grass. Working in a well-ventilated area, such as outside, and wearing proper PPE is important for casting resin no matter what. Minimally, a respirator, safety eyewear, and protective gloves are needed. To make the gem itself, I slowly mix my 2-part resin to avoid air bubbles as best I can, and when everything is thoroughly mixed with no streaks, I slowly pour it into my mold. I leave about 3mm of space below where I want my vision to stop in the mold and tap the top of the mold repeatedly to bring the air bubbles to the surface. If your resin is really bubbly, you can use a lighter to heat up and pop the bubbles on the surface, but be careful because resin can burn. Now you unfortunately have to wait. Resin cures best when it's warm outside, since heat is needed to make the chemical reaction occur and the resin to harden. Wait times for curing resin depend on the brand, the thickness of the resin cast, the temperature outside, and if you got the mixing ratio right. So while you wait, take some time to cut your vision symbol out of vinyl. I've used shiny and solid colored vinyl that both look good, so it's largely up to personal preference. If you don't have a fancy vinyl cutter, fear not. I don't either, so I have to cut mine out by hand. You can use an X-Acto knife or a pair of nail scissors. For asymmetrical designs, make sure you flip the image when drawing it on the paper backing of the vinyl. Once your symbol is cut out and your clear resin cast is cured for about 5 hours, you can put the symbol in. I like to check my cured status with a sewing pin. It should be kind of tacky but mostly solid and have some give. Then I gently place my symbol in the resin. If it starts to sink too much, your resin may not be cured enough, but I gently poke my vinyl below the surface where it should stay without too much fuss. For the colored backing, you'll want the gem mostly solid. I typically wait 2 to 3 hours after placing my vinyl and then mix up a small amount of resin, just enough to fill the remaining 3mm we left earlier. Add in a couple drops of resin dye to match your vision color. It shouldn't be see-through but also not too opaque because you need to let the light through. Then you can slowly pour your colored resin on top of the clear. After a few days of waiting, your resin should be solid to the touch and ready to demold. If the gem comes out cloudy, don't worry, we can fix that. Elevate the gem and mix a small batch of clear resin. Carefully pour it over the gem, covering the entire surface. Then wait for your new pour to cure for a few days. You may need to trim some drips, but now your vision should be crystal clear. Once you have a gem made, you're ready to make the vision holder. Trace the base of your gem onto some paper. Graph paper is perfect for this because of its grid. I like to sketch around the gem first to find the right size for the different points of the vision case. First I draw the overall shape of the vision holder, then the details. Make sure to add a small hole in the back of the base for your light to go through. Finally, cut everything out of your foam. I recommend a 4 or 6 mm foam base for the vision and 2 mm foam details. This is also now the time to heat seal your foam if you wish to do that. If you're using contact cement, remember to work in a well-ventilated area and wear a respirator. If you have a lot of uneven edges on your vision case, you may want to smooth them with foam clay or quick seal before priming. It's time to light it up. Working in a well-ventilated area with eye protection, make sure you know what wire side is positive and what side is negative for both your light and your battery. Take your battery pack and make note of where it sits best on the back of the vision holder. You will likely need to trim your wires so they aren't too long once connected to the light. At this point, you can optionally slide a heat shrink tube over your wiring for later. After the wires are trimmed, you can strip back the wire casing using a wire stripper. After all these little wires are exposed, wrap the positive wires around the positive node of your light and solder them together. Soldering for the first time can be scary, but don't panic and go slow. Use the end of your soldering iron to heat up the solder and melt it to connect the battery case and the light. Once the positive side is complete, repeat on the negative side. If you're using heat shrink for extra security and to make it look clean, slide the tubing over the part that you've just soldered and use a heat gun on it for a few seconds to shrink the plastic to the size of the wires. Now you can insert a compatible battery and check the connection. If it all lights up, you're good to go. Now it's time to put it all together. For the grand assembly, you will need the vision gem, holder, and light. Slide the LED bulb through the hole in the back of the vision holder and place your gem on top to make sure everything fits. Then you can use some hot glue to secure the light to the inside of the vision holder. Next, go ahead and secure the battery pack on the back of the vision with hot glue as well. Pop in a battery to make sure the light works and you can see through the gem. Next, secure the gem to the vision holder. You'll need a really strong glue for this. I use E6000 glue, which requires a respirator and a well-ventilated area. Just put the glue on the foam ledge or around the outside of the gem and stick the two pieces together. You'll need to hold them together for a few minutes to bond, and I recommend leaving it for a full day for maximal strength. Once the gem is attached, avoid heating the vision because even cured resin can release toxic fumes when heated up. After the gem is secured, you can prime and paint your foam vision however you like. I tape off the gem and use Mod Podge and acrylics because I usually already have them on hand. When weathering the vision, I mix a small amount of black paint in with my gold to create a dark gold for the shadows. Attachment depends on the character, but I find using a lot of hot glue to secure these flat back pins does the trick for many characters. Now you have your own light up vision.